You know that tiny, nagging feeling you get when you scroll past someone else's highlight reel and think, why not me? That tightness behind the ribs when someone criticizes you, or that endless mental list of things you feel you must fix about yourself. Mark Manson says, stop trying to be extraordinary about everything. Welcome, today we're unpacking the subtle art of not giving a fuck, a blunt, funny, and sometimes painfully honest little book that argues the modern self-help industry is asking the wrong question. Instead of, how do I become amazing at everything? It asks, what should I even care about in the first place? I'm read this next, and for the next 12 minutes we're going to walk through what this book is, why it matters, and how its counterintuitive lessons might actually make your life feel more meaningful, not less. At its surface, Manson's book is a reaction to the glowing, relentless positivity that has saturated self-help for decades. It's short, direct, and full of profanity, the kind that makes the lessons feel less like a sermon and more like a conversation with a brutally honest friend. The central thesis is simple: we have a finite number of fucks to give. Not in a fatalistic, nihilistic sense, but practically. Time, attention, and emotional energy are limited. So if you spend them on everything, they become worthless. Conversely, if you choose where to invest them, values, relationships, projects that actually matter, your life becomes coherent and meaningful. Manson organizes the book into several provocations. He opens by rejecting life as a constant competition for happiness and success. He then moves into uncomfortable territory. Pain and failure are inevitable, and trying to avoid them is what makes life miserable. He argues for picking better struggles, for assuming responsibility even when things feel unfair, and for embracing limits. The style is anecdotal and conversational. Stories about love, loss, identity, and even death are threaded through short, sharp chapters that always return to his central idea. We choose our values, consciously or not, and those choices define us. Before we dig deeper, 3 things to keep in mind. First, this isn't cheerleading for apathy. It's a manual for discriminating where to place your energy. Second, it's built on paradox: caring less about the trivial means caring more about the essential. Third, it's practical and moral at once. Manson doesn't just tell you what to ignore, he asks you to decide what's worth living for. Let's slow down and examine the core ideas more carefully, because here is where the book moves from catchy slogan to useful instrument. Scarcity of attention and the value of selection. Manson's starting point is economic. Attention is scarce. In a world that constantly demands your reaction, social media outrage, productivity porn, lifestyle advice, career anxieties, the only sane response is selection. Picture your day as a bank account with $25. Do you spend it dollar by dollar on impulse junk, or do you save for something that actually matters? The book forces you to inventory what you care about and to ask whether those cares are imposed by culture, habit, or fear, or whether they're genuinely yours. Why this matters: most modern anxiety is status noise, a cascade of arbitrary metrics we feel pressured to meet. Choose fewer metrics. Choose deeper metrics. That's how life becomes less scattered and more significant. The importance of choosing your struggles. One of Manson's most important reframings. Life struggles are unavoidable. Happiness is not the absence of problems. It's the ability to solve meaningful problems. He argues for choosing problems that align with deep values, problems you're willing to fight for. The emphasis is on the kind of pain you accept. Are you willing to accept the pain of mastery, of intimate honesty, of confronting mortality? If so, those pains are productive. If not, you'll chase temporary fixes and theatrical optimism that never stick. Why this matters? This reframing pulls you out of the endless pursuit of pleasure and into a realistic working relationship with suffering. It also gives you agency. You may not control pain, but you can control which pain you take on. Responsibility and ownership, even when it's not your fault. Manson makes a subtle but radical claim. Responsibility is about who you are, not who's at fault. You might be the victim of awful circumstances, but you still get to choose how you respond. Responsibility here is not blame. It's agency. He doesn't moralize. He simply points out that the decisions we make in response to suffering shape who we become. Why this matters? This is therapeutic and practical. When you accept responsibility for your emotions or your choices, you regain the ability to act. That doesn't mean you deserve blame for what happened. It means you decide what to do next. Values, the engine underneath everything. For Manson, values are the hidden force behind every decision. But not all values are equal. Some values are healthy and reality-based. Curiosity, courage, honesty. Others are dysfunctional, status, immediate gratification, faulty entitlement. Choosing better values leads to better outcomes because values determine metrics. What counts as success, acceptable behavior, or failure in your life? Why this matters? Most people don't audit their values. They inherit them from advertising, social circles, or knee-jerk reactions. The book's practical aim is to equip you to choose values that produce durable, meaningful results. The finality of death and the clarity it brings. One of the book's quieter but crucial elements is its insistence on mortality as clarifying. When you reflect on your finite days, the petty anxieties shrink. Death is not melodramatic here. It's a clarifying lens that forces priorities into focus. That clarity is not morose, it's liberating. Why this matters? Mortality trims the bouffant of trivial concerns and points you toward the commitments that actually matter. Now let's talk craft. Why does this short book punch above its weight? Tone and voice, conversational brutality. Manson's prose sounds like a friend who's both candid and compassionate. He uses profanity as punctuation. It's not shock value for its own sake. It's shorthand for honesty. That honesty creates trust. You feel as if you're being told a truth that's been softened for mass consumption, except he doesn't soften it. Anecdote and vulnerability. The book mixes research, philosophy, and personal stories. Manson's willingness to share his embarrassment, failure, and confusions makes the lessons more believable. The stories aren't grandiose. They're specific, human, and accessible. This groundedness helps translate abstract ideas into lived practice. Structure and brevity. The chapters are short, punchy, and portable. The book reads like a string of lucid essays more than a dense manual. That makes it shareable and easy to revisit, a quality not all serious self-help manages. Cultural timing and relevance. There's a reason this book resonated. It arrived at a cultural moment saturated with positivity and performative hustle. It offered a counterweight, permission to be ordinary, but to be ordinary on your own terms. That paradox, acceptance plus rigorous selection, is the creative core. I promised some quotes, and they're small, pointed, and useful. A few short lines to drop into your memory bank. The desire for more positive experience is itself a negative experience. We all have a limited number of fucks to give. The trick is to give a fuck about the right things. To be happy, we need to be better at solving problems. These aren't swooping aphorisms meant to be repeated mindlessly. They're prompts, mental tools to reevaluate where your attention goes. Use them like a compass. Small nudges toward a different horizon. A little backstory. Mark Manson was a blogger long before the book. He wrote raw, candid posts about relationships and personal development that built a devoted online audience. The book crystallized years of that writing into a coherent philosophy, a kind of anti-self-help that was both contrarian and accessible. Its popularity was also viral. It didn't rise only through traditional marketing, but through social sharing and word of mouth. People liked saying, "This book tells it straight." Two context notes that matter. First, the book leans heavily on Stoic and existential threads. The idea that choices and values create meaning has philosophical lineage. Manson translates these philosophical notions into stops you can make during a Sunday walk. Adopt better values, choose better struggles, and accept limits. Second, the cultural reaction was mixed. Many praised the raw honesty and practical frameworks. Others worried the bluntness could be misread as cynicism or laziness. That's an important caution. The book gives permission to stop caring about the trivial, but not to stop caring entirely. It's easy to co-opt the phrase "not giving a fuck" as an excuse for cruelty or disengagement. The book explicitly resists that. It's not an ethic of apathy. It's an ethic of selection. So what's the takeaway? If you walk away with anything from this book, let it be this 3-step practice. Audit what you care about. Name 5 things you truly value. Ask, are these inherited or chosen? Choose your struggles. Pick 2 meaningful problems you're willing to work on, and accept that progress involves discomfort. Reframe responsibility. Recognize where you can act, even when things aren't your fault, and act with integrity. Those actions sound small, but so does brushing your teeth, and done daily they transform your life. If this resonated and you want to read the full book, I've placed an Amazon link in the episode description. Go grab a copy and read it alongside this episode. There's value in hearing the author's voice directly. The brevity, the jokes, the precise phrasing. If you do pick it up, come back and tell us which chapter landed hardest for you. Thanks for spending these minutes with me. If you liked this episode, subscribe for more deep dive book dissections where we keep it honest, human, and practical. Until next time, decide what you care about and care about it fiercely.